English 2, we are reading The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. We are hoping to get the kids sort of involved in their contemporary moment. All of the issues and the events that have traced back to Black Lives Matter, police brutality, etc. I hope that by the time we finish the unit, they feel that they can state their position on these issues related to inequality. And I'm hoping that it might help them find their voice in writing to really sort of stand up and advocate for what they believe in, regardless of their position. What's unique with doing sort of a literary exploration versus exploring current events like primary documents is that we get to look at the literary technique that goes into crafting this kind of story, see how the language is dressed up in a way that makes you really feel like you're there. There's a difference between saying, "I'm sorry that happened to you," and, "Oh my goodness, I know how you feel." So getting them to live the lives of the characters or walk in their shoes and sort of internalize how might someone else respond to this situation versus the way that I would, right? It challenges them to really think about other people's perspectives.
Enlight magazine promotes diversity amongst the student body. It's student-run, it's all student voices, and it's just about different backgrounds and experiences and how it makes a community stronger.
It's a really good way to unify the community in a way where people can express their different, diverse perspectives and share it with their communities in ways that won't be judged. First, we send out like a mass email to the school, and we ask everyone who's interested to please send out articles, artwork, poems, anything that we can put in a publication. And then we'll edit the articles to make sure that they're perfect for the magazine. And then we send the articles over to InDesign, where I help to actually lay out the magazine. And then we pick correlating artwork with each article so that it looks pretty. We just hope that from the magazine, everyone will take the different perspectives that are shown and everyone's different views and maybe relate to those ideas and maybe feel more open to share their own.
There's this feeling of solidarity that sometimes comes out of this. I've had multiple people approach me about this magazine and say, "Oh, I read this article and it made me feel awesome because I relate to that. Like, that's me too." And for me, that's the best feeling to come out of this.
Personally, I'm more shy, so doing Enlight has helped me to like reach out to people. I've met so many new people. I've learned a lot about them, and that's really like helped me kind of be more into the community.
There's a lot of long hours and it's hard work, but it's so rewarding to know that there is a heart that was touched by this.
I proposed Honors Latin American Studies as a venue or a medium for students to explore deeper what is Latin America and who populates the region. The course is done in Spanish, and it's a great opportunity to develop advanced language skills in a way that doesn't just focus on the language of Spanish itself. Latin America, unfortunately, is perceived as having a lot of conflicts. When we look from the outside, we run the risk of always seeing a conflict as perhaps only black and white. However, when you are able to engage in someone else's story, you have the opportunity to uncover the different layers and the different levels that may have inspired someone to take up action or may have served as catalysts for a certain movement. By giving students access to resources in the Spanish language, they are able to study and analyze the stories of individuals who have been involved in these conflicts. Empathy is such a vital skill for students to develop because to better understand an issue, it is more effective to understand how it affects others than just yourself. You can then see intersections and different motivations or other personal factors that may have led to some sort of connection.
During the middle school years, social media is very popular. By 7th grade, we start to see students get profiles on Instagram is probably the most popular. Snapchat is very popular. We are teaching our students to not only use social media safely, but responsibly, and to be empathetic in their interactions, the same way they would in their face-to-face interactions. We want them to maintain the same persona, the same level of kindness and thoughtfulness when they are communicating via technology. In the advisory curriculum, we make sure that technology use, acceptable use, responsibility, safety, empathy are incorporated throughout the entire year. In addition to the advisory lessons that are for everyone, students will come to me and say, hey, I saw something online that I'm not comfortable with, or I think I have a friend who's struggling. So when it's appropriate, then I'll just handle things on a more independent level. We introduce social media use specifically at an evening for parents. We bring in Dr. Adam Pletter, who's the founder of iParent 101. He speaks with parents about all the safeguards that they can use, but also painting a realistic picture of just what social media use means to their child and how important it is to them. It's not about only seeing the negative side of the technology. They can use social media to do good things, to do service, to look after others, to support others, to celebrate others. And if they establish that in middle school, they're much more likely to not have these two separate worlds where they present themselves one way in real life and a different way online. They're just authentic no matter where they are.
Okay, I'm Kathy Popano, and I'm working with the middle school international students and making their adjustment to Bullis not only an academic success, but a social success too. I originally thought of the idea of having field trips when I went to China to visit some of the students that I was going to be teaching, and realized that they had such a rich culture that our students needed to learn about. And when they came to Bullis, I wanted them to get a good idea of the culture that they would be coming into the United States. Miss Fajan and I decided to take some field trips to try to coordinate with some of their academic programs. We took a walking tour in DC to show some of the different buildings that the students were learning about in American history. We went to the medieval times to reinforce some of the things they were learning in ancient history. I wanted my international students to invite friends from Bullis to join us and practice their English and have fun and just do some things together to share about the different cultures. My main goal was to show the students how much in common we all have, that there's so many things that we can do together, so there isn't such a big difference between our cultures. But what can we do to build bridges so that we can find more common areas that we can enjoy?
In Lower School Movement, we're not just working on performances, we're also building self-confidence, strong work ethic, and discipline in our young students that will take them not only through dance, but through life. What I want my students to take away from their dance and theater class is, above all, self-esteem and body awareness. It's really important for me to teach the students that they're in a safe place and that there's zero judgment in our dance room, and this is a place for learning.
What I've learned is that you've got to be flexible to do movement class.
I learned that it doesn't matter how good or bad you are, you can just dance. What I like about movement class is that you can share what you want to do
And listen to other people's ideas.
So when my students perform for each other in class, I have the students that are watching offer a positive observation and then also a critique that the students can work on. I always ask the students if they're able to receive this critique and if they understand it. And that's how we develop a level of trust within the studio. In gearing up for performances, I remind my students that When they're on stage, they're doing something that no one else can do. They're supposed to feel happy, they're supposed to make people happy, and at the end of the day, you want people to want to dance after they see them perform.
I love performing on stage.
When you perform on stage, you don't have to be scared.
I enjoy that we get to perform in front of our families. I like when they smile because, well, it makes me happy.
And what I have learned is don't be afraid to dance because dance comes from your heart.
The fourth graders had a kickoff to their measurement unit. Ms. Campbell and I thought it would be fun to have an estimation Olympics. One of the events was the cotton ball shot put. Children had to decide how far their cotton ball would go. There was the straw javelin. There was the paper plate discus. We had the jumping jacks flash. How many jumping jacks could you do in 1 minute? The great foot feet, where you had to figure out how many square centimeters your foot took up in area, which was really tough because it's an irregular shape. And then we also had the broad jump and we had the cube grab. It's not, how fast you go or how far you can throw, but, thinking more about the measurement and working together as a team and making sure everybody's really helping each other. And if somebody makes a mistake, that's how your brain grows and that's how we learn. And I think just trying to be really accepting and kind to one another. And I think in lower school, we really make the effort to create that community. It really is a special place where children really are learning, I think, to be kind and think beyond themselves.